I know a couple of creators who literally make $1 million per sponsored short. I have like probably one of the best strategies that I haven't seen anyone do. I think that a shorts creator could make just as much money as a long form creator.
Today we are diving into the world of YouTube Shorts with one of the fastest rising stars on the platform, Jenny Hoyos. Jenny is by far one of the top creators making shorts on YouTube, averaging about 10 million views per short. In this step-by-step breakdown, Jenny will be sharing her best strategies around ideation, hooks, storytelling, analytics, monetization, and more. And by the end of my talk with Jenny, you should be left with a crystal clear blueprint for creating high-performing shorts. First things first, what do you feel like your overarching strategy is and the mindset that like enables this level of consistency is?
I think the biggest overarching thing is treating YouTube like a business. So I'm just like making sure that I'm very like on top of my schedule. Like all my content is scheduled. All my content is on a calendar. I make sure that no matter what, there is a YouTube video posted on Saturday at 10 a.m. EST. So I think for me, it's making sure that I do quality, quantity. So I want my videos to be quality, but I also want to make sure that I'm uploading consistently.
Even at the age of 18, Jenny has made the decision to treat her YouTube channel like a business. She's investing so much time and effort to not only grow the business, but also make it profitable. In order to be profitable as a business, you need to go out and find yourself a potential customer, or in Jenny's case, a target audience. One of the things you mentioned recently was that as creators, we want to be in a blue ocean as opposed to like a red ocean. How do you deliberately like position yourself in a space with little competition, which is basically what the analogy is. Sorry to spoil it.
When I think of blue ocean, I think of having your own unique twist. So granted, we're all gonna have idols or steal like an artist, but at the end of the day, you should still have your own unique thing that makes you unique. What's your unique advantage? What are things that you're skilled at? Things in your situation that help benefit you, basically, is the way I like to see a blue ocean. I was always like into entrepreneurship and business, so I knew I wanted to make videos about finance or money. And at first, I was actually copying Graham Stephan, like one for one. I kid you not, the exact same style, like the exact same, like everything basically. I've unlisted those videos because it's very cringe. Like that's just like a red ocean because everyone's trying to be Graham Stephan. But then I looked at like everyone else in the money finance industry and I noticed that like there's no one doing it for kids. So I knew that there was a gap in the market essentially and I had to do it.
Well, I would say she bridged the gap just fine. Coming from a family of extreme money savers, she picked up tips and relatable humor from them. In other words, she took an experience that was unique to her life and used it to make content that other people could relate to. But what's equally significant here is that her being a younger creator made it so that she could relate to other young people who wouldn't normally think about saving money. And if you want to attract an audience of people who wouldn't normally think about saving money, you need to make sure that your hook is spot on to get them to stop scrolling immediately. So let's talk about hooks for a little bit. Walk me through like the process for you for coming up with like an incredibly catchy and effective hook.
So a good hook is concise, no more than 3 seconds. It needs to be very visually pleasing, very visually appealing. It needs to be so good that you can be watching the video on mute and still understand what the video is about. So I try to make sure that the composition's good. What I mean by that is like everything's centered in frame. I try to make sure there's no more than 3 objects in the frame. It needs to be so good that you can use it as a thumbnail on one of your long form videos. I think the most underrated thing in hooks is foreshadowing. So a good hook not only stops your scroll, but also makes sure you get to the end of the video. You should foreshadow what is to expect at the end. Some things that are very easy to apply is like, here are 3 reasons why X. So now we know the video is going to end on 3. So it doesn't need to be too complicated. Or my favorite example is I started a video by giving my grandma a $5 Christmas present and showing her reaction. So I started with the cold open of her reacting to this $5 gift. But the thing is, you don't see what the gift is until the end of the video.
I hope you can appreciate that the tips Jenny is giving us here are pure gold. Grabbing an audience's attention to get them to stop scrolling is everything when it comes to YouTube Shorts. It's important to note though, that's not the only thing because you also need a good average view duration. You need people to watch the whole thing. In order to do that, you need to tell stories. Now, I know some people kind of feel like they have a natural ability to just tell stories, but if you're anything like me, it's something that is a bit intimidating. Fortunately, though, for you and me, this is something you can learn. This is a skill you can develop. So what storytelling frameworks and like techniques are you using?
I'm going to start with the simplest, ending with the hardest retention tactic. So the simplest one that anyone can apply is but so storytelling. So it's basically setting up conflict and then resolving the conflict and then setting up new conflict. So imagine a story story where you say, oh, I wanted to go on a walk, so I went outside, it started raining, and I didn't know what to do, so I went back home. It's like, okay, it's a story, I guess. But when you use but and so, it just sounds more entertaining. Like, I was at home, but I got bored, so I ended up going for a walk. But it started raining, so I ended up trying to figure out what to do. I was looking for an umbrella, but I couldn't find one, so I had to go back home. So it's like the story just seems so much more engaging when you use those words. I probably like repeat myself so many times on these shorts, but every time I say but, like it stops someone from scrolling. It's like, but what? So that's one method. And the second thing I love to do is dual narrative storytelling. So with shorts, you want to keep your videos very concise. And it's very hard to do that because you probably want to get across multiple different messages, but you only have like 60 seconds to do that. So what I do is this technique where I tell two stories at the same time. I tell one story through my voiceover or whatever I'm saying, and the second story is told in what I'm showing. So an example of me doing this is I wanted to give my grandma a $5 Valentine's gift present. But the reason why I was doing that is because, you know, it was the first year she didn't have a Valentine because my grandpa passed away. And I'm like, that's way too much context. And it's also almost like too sad. I feel like people are like, it's gonna scroll if I say that. So instead, my voiceover was me talking about me making the present for her, but I never said the additional context. Instead, I showed pictures of her with my grandpa to almost show to the viewer that this is the reason why I'm doing it without telling them that.
Jenny has admittedly studied these big creators for thousands of hours to come up with these strategies. So you can rest assured these are tried and tested by the best out there. Ryan Trahan is a prime example of using visuals to add context. But you may have noticed that Jenny and Ryan's shorts are packed with info, but very carefully. You never want to overwhelm an audience in your YouTube shorts. It's all about finding a rhythm and a pacing. What are like some of your best practices around structure and pacing?
My favorite pacing when it comes to like structuring pacing, since it's very similar, is quick hook, medium paced middle, and probably like a peak in somewhere in the middle, like a funny joke, back to medium pacing, and then quick ending. You want to make sure that it's almost a roller coaster of emotions. There's multiple theories that back this up. So one that I want to get into is peak end theory. And it's this theory that people only remember their favorite part of a movie or whatever they're watching and the ending. Like you never think of like, oh, I remember when this boring thing happened, which makes sense, but that's like the whole point of it.
I think because creators are forced in shorts to keep their videos under 60 seconds long and keep their energy up, a lot of their ideas kind of get rushed through. Oftentimes the videos can lose their flow and confuse the audience.
Do not talk fast, just talk more concise and try to get the message across in the least amount of words possible. Usually you'll give like that concise, quick action-packed value and context. And then right after, like giving so much context, you need to let it breathe so that they can understand the context that they just heard.
Once you finish making a video that you're very, very excited to share, it's difficult not to just go ahead and hit publish. But before you do, a good practice here is to take a step back and ask yourself a few questions. Imagine for a second that you're the viewer of this video. Does it make sense? Is it captivating? Does it capture the right emotion? Because you should absolutely be making it a priority to understand how the audience is going to feel when they watch your short. I don't care if it's shorts or longs. Connecting with your audience is everything. How do you get insight into your audience's like mindset and preferences?
I feel like the best way to do it is literally to send your videos to your avatar if possible. So like for me, it's very simple to just send it to a younger family member or like also my parents. But if you don't have that, utilizing your analytics is very important. I try to look at the retention graph, not the percentage. You look at the retention graph and you see like, oh, this joke just did not hit, or I talked way too long for that. And you just kind of have to like come up with your own assumptions and like figure that out and apply it to new videos. But as for what content to make and content strategy, I'm looking for videos that are a bit old but performing in the last 48 hours. Because like for example, right now, my last 48 hours is one video from a year ago, and then a bunch of them are videos from like last month. But then what's interesting is like, why is my number one performer a video from last year? And that's how you understand like what videos are actually the ones you need to recreate and what is actually resonating with your audience. For example, I'll look at, oh, what's my average duration of videos that are my top performers? That's how I know my best videos are 34 seconds. So I'll usually just like toggle as many analytics as possible and see if there's any patterns there.
Yes, understanding your analytics is great for helping to increase your views and watch time and find trends within your content. But the real win lies in making content that people love. When you watch something that you love from a creator, you go back and you want to watch more of it. That's how you build a community and grow on YouTube. What else do you intentionally do to build loyalty and get viewers like coming back habitually?
Buckets is probably like 90% of like creating returning viewers. So buckets are repeatable formats, and I try to keep mine very similar titled. For example, my bucket would be $1 fast food item versus restaurant. So it would be like $1 burrito, $1 boba, $1 everything basically. And because everything is titled and structured and formatted and the video is very similar, like all the videos are metadatally linked. YouTube can easily be like, oh, the viewer liked when she made $1 pizza. Oh, they're gonna like when she makes a $1 sandwich or a $1 burger. It's very easy for YouTube to understand what your viewer is gonna wanna watch next. So the goal with returning viewers on Shorts is to make videos that your viewer is probably going to watch next, and you do that through structure, format, and metadata, such as title. If you're uploading once a week, I think 2 to 4 buckets is really reasonable.
Even though making shorts is awesome and all this advice is really helpful, there is one glaring issue when it comes to shorts, and that is your return on investment. Honestly, are shorts even worth it? I'm sure you've seen like the AdSense on shorts for most creators is very small, but you yourself are someone who's admitted to everybody, I love money. How can somebody who's like getting into shorts and seeing a bit of success like leverage them to make money?
Shorts is totally a viable way to make money. I don't know who like thought that it's not. I think that a shorts creator could make just as much money as a long form creator. Maybe not as much ad revenue, but you can make the same money. I average like 50 to 100 million views per month on shorts. So because of that, it ranges between 5 to 10K per month in ad revenue. Versus like if I was doing long form and I was getting those views, what the heck? I'd be like at what, like 100K a month? Like, so theoretically, ad revenue wise, it's much worse. But if you have products, courses, sponsorships, that's where the money is to be made. I know a couple of creators who literally make $1 million per sponsored short. I'm just saying, so, and they get less views than me, or probably about the same. You just gotta be a good businessman, good businesswoman, good business person.
I can say firsthand, we've witnessed a huge surge in channels that are exclusively making YouTube shorts. But a lot of the creators we've spoken to have a business-minded plan of eventually branching out into longer form content. Expanding your reach with long form videos is easier said than done, but not impossible. What would you tell someone who's enjoying a lot of success on their shorts, but they're struggling with long form? When I say that, I think of you as somebody who can get 10 million views in a short in your sleep, and then you post a long form and you're not enjoying those same views on average. What would you say to someone who's kind of feeling the same way?
It really sucks. I think you have to see it as like 2 different games. Like they're 2 completely different challenges to me. With long form, every second doesn't matter as much as it does in shorts, because 1 second on a short is over 1% retention, but on a long form, 1 second isn't even 1% retention. So if you lose 1 second, percentage wise, it's not huge, but with shorts, it's like everything is so exponential. My strategy to convert from shorts to long form is to literally make very similar feeling content. What I mean by that is bit-based videos, essentially creating 30-second shorts until it adds up to an 8-minute video. For example, I easily have like 20 shorts where I recreated fast food items. So imagine a long form where I recreated 100 fast food items. And it's basically the same thing, because I know my shorts viewers watch that.
I mean, and that sounds like a fantastic way to keep like a shorts viewer like potentially hooked on a long form video. But as I'm sure you're well aware of, a lot of people struggle with this. Getting people to watch.
If I created my own YouTube channel, all eyes would be on me, and I would make every puny human YouTuber disappear off this platform.
Getting people to watch your long form videos, who watch your shorts, is almost impossible. How are you handling that challenge, and what are you seeing in your data?
So for context, my shorts average 10 million views per video, but my long forms range between 50 to 500K. It's a very wide range. But like my top performing videos on long form are like literally almost all returning viewers. So what I am identifying is, yes, people are converting from shorts to long form, and the retention is actually great. In fact, even when I link a long form from my short, like with the new related feature, like my retention is like crazy high on my long forms, even though they're coming from shorts. And I think the reason is because the feel is just like very similar.
Let's be real, growing any type of channel on YouTube is challenging. Shorts, longs, algorithms, analytics, it's all too much. So that's why we've made a video packed with 150 tips for small channels to grow fast on YouTube.